Every year, I decorate my house for fall, and this year I decided I wanted to try making some wooden pumpkins. These pumpkins are really simple to make and very inexpensive using cedar fence slats. I started off at my miter saw cutting the pieces down to size. I didn't really measure anything, just kind of eyeballed it, and I cut each of the boards into 3 pieces. I gave each of them a light sanding with 150 grit sandpaper on the front and back to smooth them out a little and knock off any splinters. With the boards all sanded, I laid them out and determined which would be the front and the back, then pieced them together. I added glue to the joints, then grabbed some scrap cutoffs to use as backing. I glued and nailed them into place, then flipped the panel over and drew out a pumpkin shape with a pencil. Given that pumpkins are all sorts of shapes and sizes, I wasn't too worried about the design being perfectly proportioned. With my design drawn out, I grabbed my jigsaw to start cutting the pumpkin out. The cedar is pretty dry and some of it chipped up while I was working, but again, these are rustic, so I wasn't really too worried. To soften up the edges, I used a round over bit in my compact router. You can always just use a sander, but I find that my orbital sander will catch any splintering that occurs and cause more of the wood to be chipped out. Rounding off the edges first prevented that, at least for the most part. For the second pumpkin, I made it a little on the bigger side and also changed up the steps a little to see which method I liked better. I again sanded everything down with 150 grit sandpaper, then laid out the pieces. I marked the scrap wood backs and then cut them down on my miter saw, then drew out the shape of the pumpkin. I glued up and assembled the pieces together and nailed the backing strips into place with 3/4 inch brad nails. I started cutting the shape out with my jigsaw and quickly realized that cutting from the front side was a lot easier. I kept running into the backing strips I'd attached and had to work around them a bit. I got it all to work out, but it took a little longer and I quickly realized that cutting from the front side is far better. I again went around the whole pumpkin with my compact router to round off the edges, then sanded it all down again with 150 grit sandpaper. For the finishing process, you can do whatever you like. I chose to stain both pumpkins in different colors of stain and let them dry overnight. The next day I finished them off. For the smaller pumpkin, I sanded it a bit, then wiped off the excess dust. I added some white furniture racks to get in all of the little grooves of the boards. I still felt like it needed a little something more, so I grabbed some paint and used a dry brush technique to give the wood a chipped, distressed look. The wax coat allows the paint to be sanded off easier, and therefore giving it a more natural, distressed look. Other than skipping the initial sanding, I followed the same steps for the larger pumpkin. You can use any color of stain and any color of paint for this, which allows you to customize it to fit perfectly with your own personal style. I originally built these to go on my front patio, but then decided I really liked them on my faux fireplace. I added a few bits of neutral fall decor to complete the whole look. To get the full materials list for this project and the step-by-step tutorial, make sure to click the link in the description below. For more video tutorials just like this one, be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell icon to be alerted when new videos are published. Also, feel free to leave a like and a comment on this video. Thanks for watching.